and subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
So I just watched an interview on JD Sports with Tony Bellew, and it was a very good interview, and I do recommend that you go watch it, and I'll put it in the description box above for you. Also, when you finish with this video, go give that a watch, come back, drop yourself a comment. Do you agree with what I said about Tony Bellew's comments? Do you agree with Tony Bellew? Do you disagree? All that kind of good stuff. Now, Tony Bellew, yet again, has said a lot of things that I agree with, and he consistently does this. And for a long time, I was saying that, I felt that Tony Bellew and David Haye, this whole thing was supposed to be about David Haye just getting a whole crap load of money overlooking Tony Bellew. I said that at the time. And I also said that the Haymaker 2.0 thing was nothing more or nothing less than a publicity con to gain a lot of money. And you know what? Big props to him, and it worked. And I felt that that David Haye had been ripping off the UK fans for quite a long time, especially when he got to heavyweight. I mean, he sold us Audie Harrison, I want to be rude, but he did. Okay, now, yet again, Tony Bellew says a lot of things in this video that I've been saying, and again, I totally agree with him. And the point of this particular video here is he's talking about Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder and Dillian Whyte. So within this interview as well, of course, he's talking about Usyk as well. So obviously, go give the whole thing a watch. But specifically, if you want to just hear him talk about the Dillian Whyte situation, that's from 21 minutes onwards, and the Tyson Fury bit is just before that bit. Everything else prior to that is all about him versus Usyk. So it depends on what it is you want to listen to, but I would recommend that you listen to the whole thing if you can. Now, he said that he cannot see a way that Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder. He just can't see it. Now, Tony Bellew, how often is Tony Bellew wrong? Now, when Tony Bellew is wrong, for example, it's more a case of he's letting emotion get in the way of it. For example, like David Price, he said that he fully believes David Price can beat Alexander Povetkin, when the rest of the world knew that was not going to happen. Okay, but he's very, very good friends with David Price, and as he's saying that David Price is going to beat Povetkin, you could just tell he wasn't really believing it. Now, when he said about Tyson Fury, he says that the Tyson Fury that turned up at Dusseldorf to face Vladimir Klitschko beats Wilder all day long. Now, of course, I'm ad-libbing of what it is that he says. I can't remember words verbatim, if you like, for everything that he said. But the Tyson Fury that beat Vladimir Klitschko beats Deontay Wilder. But the guy that you see right now, Tyson Fury, he just can't see a way. And again, I agree with him on that point, and I also agree with him when he says that I hope to be wrong. And I genuinely, hand on heart, hope to be wrong. I am a big Tyson Fury fan, and I know I've been coming up for like a little bit of criticism where people seem to think I'm some kind of Tyson Fury hater, which is absolutely outrageous. I just tell it how I see it. That's all it is. I just tell the truth from my point of view. And I do hope to be wrong with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I hope Tyson Fury beats him to a pulp, is what I hope. Now, the thing is, though, and it's as Tony Bellew was saying, is that you can't go 2.5 years out, put on all that weight, go through the severest of severe depression that he went through, plus all the UCAD, British Boxing Board of Control, all that kind of thing, which, by the way, everyone who keeps accusing me of being a Tyson Fury hater, I was the one here lambasting the UCAD and British Boxing Board of Control over their treatment of Tyson Fury. So for those of you who keep calling me a Tyson Fury hater, fine, you can call me a hater if you want, but what was you doing during that time? I was here defending him. What was you doing? Sat at home supporting Joshua, forgetting about Tyson Fury, right? Tyson Fury comes back, suddenly you hate Joshua and now support Tyson Fury. It's weird, isn't it? But the guy that you see now is not the guy that turned up in Dusseldorf. And I hope to be wrong. I'll say it again, and I will repeat saying it. I hope to God I am wrong. I mean, I would love everything that Tyson Fury's gone through to come back and grab that WBC title and beat Deontay Wilder. Defy the odds. And it's not because Deontay Wilder is good. No, not at all. He's just dangerous. He's got a very, very good right hand. Tyson Fury is very, very skillful. He's very elusive. He looks awkward. He fights like a damn middleweight, is what he fights like. But he can beat Deontay Wilder because, as I said, Deontay Wilder is flawed to hell when it comes to skill. But he always manages to find a way to land that big right hand. So that in itself is a skill. Of course, you have to try and set it up and read your opponent to kind of see what it is that they're going to do and then counter it. With Tyson Fury, it's a little bit difficult because sometimes I'm not even too sure if Tyson Fury knows what he's going to do, and that's the way that he's been his whole career. So the Tyson Fury that is there today, can he beat Wilder? He can, but it's unlikely. And Tony Bellew's reasoning is, again, because of all the time off and the fact that he come back after all that time out, beats the first Ferry and Pianeta, and then go straight in with Wilder. He can't see a way that Tyson Fury can win. And that's exactly what I've been saying. It's not a hate thing. It's a genuine, I can't see Tyson Fury beating him. But, I'll say it again, I hope to be wrong. So there's that bit. And then the guy who was interviewing him, I'm presuming he's some kind of Dillian Whyte fan as well, as I am. Okay, and he says that, but in my opinion, Dillian Whyte beats Deontay Wilder. And Tony Bellew says, I can't disagree with that. He also believes that Dillian Whyte beats Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder wants nothing to do with Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is too dangerous. He's too raw. He's too confident, because it's very, very rare that you actually see an opponent of Deontay Wilder who goes in there believing they're going to beat him. You just don't see it, okay? Especially after that one big right hand lands for the very first time, which it may not knock you unconscious, but it's going to hurt. And then suddenly you go into yourself. Dillian Whyte ain't like that. Dillian Whyte will fight anybody, any place, any time. He doesn't care. And I know that a lot of the Wilder fans and whatever will say, but Dillian Whyte, he avoided Luis Ortiz. No, he didn't. There's history of that. No, he didn't. Trust me, he didn't. And as much as I am a Dillian Whyte fan, if I felt that Dillian Whyte avoided Luis Ortiz because he was afraid, I'll tell you. Of course I would. But Dillian Whyte will fight anybody. And him against Wilder don't want that smoke. He don't want that work. Dillian Whyte is a work in progress. He is a novice, really, in the pro game. He really is. But look at what he's done in a very, very short time. He defeated Joseph Parker. Well, a lot of people said that Joseph Parker was going to beat him, former world champion. Lucas Brown, undefeated, again, former world champion. No matter how you look at it, the record book shows that's exactly what he was. Whether he turned up out of shape or whether he was ring rust or whatever it may be, makes no difference. Again, a lot of people at that time were picking Lucas Brown to win. And because Dillian Whyte handled him easily and knocked him cold out, people said that Lucas Brown's a bum. No. Robert Helenius, a guy who was tipped to replace Vladimir Klitschko at one time. He'd only ever had one defeat on his record. That was against Joan Duapa, which I would put my car on it. If Duapa versus Helenius happened again, Helenius would wipe the floor with him. But he was winning that fight, in my opinion, and he got clipped. This is heavyweight boxing. It happens. Okay? So again, people said that Dillian Whyte didn't look too good in that one. Well, it's very difficult to look good when your opponent is in retreat and defense mode the entire damn fight. And we see that time and time again. That's why Floyd Mayweather just survives. Okay, so for his last few years, he never really fought. He just survived and just did enough to nick the rounds because he was in defensive mode the entire fight. When someone's in defensive mode, they're hard to beat. Okay, and Derek Chisora, again, a lot of people said that Derek Chisora beat him. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. But you know what? You're entitled to your own opinion, of course. And we'll find out for sure with the rematch. So everybody who says that Derek Chisora beat Dillian Whyte and you're not happy about this rematch, well, you should be happy about it because now we get to find out, was you right? Okay, but for me, just remember, when Dillian Whyte fought Derek Chisora that first time, that was Dillian Whyte's fourth fight in only 6 months. He was knackered before he even went into that damn fight. He was fatigued. And, of course, he let emotion get to the better of him. So, anyway, going back on to Deontay Wilder. Wilder doesn't want anything to do with Dillian Whyte because Dillian Whyte is dangerous. Now, Deontay Wilder has done what he's always done. And it's the truth of it. And I know people don't like hearing it. And people will defend it because they don't like Joshua or whatever it may be. That Deontay Wilder has cherry-picked his entire career. He's never really stepped up. People say, but he beat Luis Ortiz. Well, there's a guy who, was it yesterday on True School Sports, who knows Luis Ortiz and knew him from the amateur days. He knows exactly how old Luis Ortiz is. And he's just turned 49 years old. That's not me speculating, and I know that there's been rumours about it for a long time, but this guy knows for a fact that he's just turned 49 years old. So in other words, he was 48 when he fought Deontay Wilder. Not only that, he couldn't get medical clearance to go into the ring to fight Deontay Wilder 1 hour before the fight. Again, this is fact, it's not speculation. And he troubled the hell out of Wilder. He nearly got Wilder out of there in round number 7. Wilder needed those extra few seconds. It may only be a few seconds, but in the boxing ring, that is minutes, okay? It really did help him. But ultimately, you know what? Wilder did get him out of there. He did become the very first person to stop and beat Luis Ortiz in the pro game. Now, when it comes to Dillian Whyte is dangerous. Dillian Whyte will go in there like a bull in a china shop. He will not go in there intimidated. He will go for the kill. Wilder cannot outbox Dillian Whyte. No matter whether or not that you think that Dillian Whyte is the most skillful fighter in the world. He is very skillful for this stage of his career. Dillian Whyte only had 5 fights as an amateur. 5, that was it. And one of those he defeated Anthony Joshua. Okay, so him going through the pro ranks, he's learning all the time. Now, against Deontay Wilder, when I've had Dillian on the channel before, we've mentioned Wilder on a few occasions, haven't we? And he said that he would chop the tree down with Deontay Wilder. In other words, crack his ribs, do everything he can to break his ribs. And when Wilder drops his arms down, his head will come off. This is Dillian Whyte's words. And Dillian will go there, full confidence, to beat him. And Wilder knows this. Why lose to, or potentially even lose to Dillian Whyte for $8 million when you could lose to Joshua for 15 or more against Tyson Fury? He knows that he's going to beat Tyson Fury. He's very, very sure of it. Otherwise, he wouldn't take the fight. With Dillian Whyte, he's just unpredictable in that ring. He will go for you. He does leave himself open at times. But again, that's all learning. He did nearly get stopped by Joseph Parker in the 12th and final round because he put everything into it. For 11 rounds, he put everything into it and he was knackered. Joseph Parker didn't do too much other than defend himself a lot of the times. And Joseph Parker took to the canvas for the very first time in his career. But people want to write that off because they kind of just remember round number 12. But hey, listen, put Wilder in the ring with Dillian Whyte and Dillian Whyte beats him. I've been telling you guys this for a long time. For a very, very long time. Deontay Wilder will not go past the halfway mark. I'm telling you right now, he won't. So anyway, that is Tony Bellew's words. Go give it a watch. That Deontay Wilder wants no smoke with Dillian Whyte. And he can't see a way that Tyson Fury can beat Deontay Wilder at this stage of Tyson Fury's comeback. You drop your thoughts about it. Click that thumbs up. And of course, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.